you know what the government speech doctrine is?
Senator, my 20-plus years practicing civil litigation and 2.5 years on the bench, I have not had the opportunity to hear or litigate any matters involving that doctrine, but certainly if it comes before me, I would thoroughly research it.
Well, you're going to have to bone up on it because you're going to see a lot of it. Judge Bendisi, I want to just talk to you about the law. I'm not interested in what you believe. I'm interested in how you think. I want to start with reapportionment law. Can a state legislature draw election lines in an obviously, blatantly political way to favor one party over another?
Good morning, Senator Kennedy. My understanding of the law is that issues such as partisan gerrymandering are considered political questions.
Yes, sir, but can you answer my question first, if you don't mind? Because I've got 6 folks here in 5 minutes. Can a state legislature do that?
Senator, under the justiciability issue of political question, I believe the Supreme Court has held that those issues are political and not something that the court can review.
So is that a yes or no?
Senator, if they're drawing them for political reasons, as you put, and not for discriminatory purposes in any means, then I believe under Supreme Court precedent that would be a political question.
Okay. Is that a yes or no?
I think it's a yes under your scenario there. Again, Senator, I'd have to review the facts of the case and hear more about the reasons behind the lines that were drawn.
Tell me about the political question. I'm sorry. We were just talking about political questions. Tell me about the government speech doctrine. You'll see that a lot in federal court. Tell me about the government speech doctrine.
Are you referring to under First Amendment, Senator?
Yes.
So my understanding under the First Amendment that there are particular forms of speech that, depending on if it's content-based speech or content-neutral
yes,
speech.
so that's on the private side. I'm talking about the public side. Do you know what the government speech doctrine is?
Senator, my 20-plus years practicing civil litigation and 2.5 years on the bench, I have not had the opportunity to hear or litigate any matters involving that doctrine, but certainly if it comes before me, I would thoroughly research it.
Well, you're going to have to bone up on it because you're going to see a lot of it. Let me put it another way. Does government have free speech rights?
Does the government have free speech rights?
Yeah,
Well,
we know you and I do, but does government itself have a right to free speech?
Senator, I would have to understand more of the facts of a particular challenge.
It's very simple. I'm not talking about individuals. We know that the government, state or federal or local, has to be very, very careful in restricting our right to free speech. I'm asking you about government. Does government have the right to free speech?
Are you referring to just an individual who serves in government?
No, I'm talking about somebody speaking for a government. If a governor stands up and says, I'm speaking for the state of New York, does government have the right to free speech? Yes or no, if you would?
Senator, again, in my 20 years of litigating civil litigation matters and 2.5 years on the bench, I haven't had specifically a case on that.
I know,
particular
but
matter.
have you thought about it? I mean, there's a whole body of case law out there, my gosh. Did you study that in law school, Judge?
I'm sure I did, Senator.
Okay. Well, let me put it another way. If Senator Lee designs a special license plate that he wants to give people the right to purchase and put on their cars in Utah, and the government says no, and Senator Lee says, but let all these other folks design their own license plates. And the government of Utah says no. Can the government of Utah do that?
Well, if the government is restricting certain kind of speech, content-based speech, it would have to undergo a strict scrutiny analysis.
No, it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't. That came up in Texas. That's what the government speech doctrine is. Somebody in Texas said, I want to put a Confederate flag on a license plate. And Texas said, nope. And he sued, said just what you said, very famous Supreme Court case. And the Supreme Court said, government speech, government can do that. Do you know what well, strike that. Let's suppose there's a park, and that park has monuments in it. And Senator Lee says, I want to put my monument in that park too. I see all these others you let put in there. And government says no. Who wins? I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Senator, I would have to review more facts of the case to determine.
You don't know who would win that?
Senator, I'd have to see more details from the case to determine the facts behind it to make a proper ruling on that type of a case.
Wow. Okay.